The Man in the Desert. It's around 2500 BC. The sun is doing that thing where it tries to kill you. The Great Pyramid of Giza isn't a wonder of the world yet. It's a building site, loud, half-finished, swarming with workers. And standing a little way off is one completely ordinary man. We'll call him K2. History will never write his name down. But this morning, K2 makes a decision so small, so boring, that it ends up outliving the pyramid behind him. He decides that every single day, for the rest of his life, he's going to put away $1. Now, yes, I know, they did not have dollars in ancient Egypt. For this video, we're just going to pretend they did. The Egyptians had American dollars. It's fine. Nobody's grading us. $1 a day. That's the rule. And it doesn't stop with K2. When he dies, his kids inherit the jar and the habit. Then their kids, then theirs. An unbroken chain of people, all the way down through 4,500 years of human history, each one adding a single dollar a day, never missing. So before we go any further, I want you to actually guess, how much does that family have today? Think about the runway here, 4,500 years. That's not one lifetime of saving. That's roughly 56 full human lifetimes, stacked end to end, every one of them feeding the same pot. Part 1. The Jar. A journey through the family tree. Here are the rules for round 1. K2 saves his dollar, but he just saves it, into a jar buried under the bed. No bank, no interest, no cleverness. The money sits in the dark and waits. This is saving the way most people actually picture it. So let's follow the jar. We'll start with the founder, K2. Over a long life, he drops in maybe $15,000. He dies proud, certain his descendants will be kings. Around 2,000 years later, Cleopatra is on the throne. The jar has passed through something like 100 generations and now sits with a young woman called Neph. Egypt is falling to Rome around her. Empires are ending, and the family fortune, after 2,000 years of daily saving, sits at about $730,000. Respectable. Not buy a country money, more buy a nice house money. Now we arrive in the Middle Ages. Rome has fallen, and the jar is now a small chest in the hands of a nervous descendant called Aldrich, who spends most of his energy hiding it from absolutely everyone, because the medieval economy is mostly other people trying to take your stuff. 1492, Columbus. The descendant holding the chest is Isabel. She could technically fund a small expedition of her own, but she doesn't. She adds her dollar and goes back to bed. And from there, the chest rolls on through a few more centuries, past the moon landing, past the internet, until the whole 4,500-year-old habit lands with one person, Marcus. Part 1 continued, the ATM. There he stands, looking at the ATM right in front of him. This is where 4,500 years of saving comes to settle. He knows the family story. 4,500 years. Pharaohs, Caesars, plagues, wars, revolutions, and through every single one, his ancestors fed the jar. And as he types in the password, his head is spinning with what's coming. He's already spending it. A private island, obviously. Maybe 2. A car for every day of the week. He's wondering whether he's about to become the richest human being who has ever lived. Whether there's a number so large the screen just can't physically show it. He hits enter. The machine loads. And keeps loading. It feels like it's loading for centuries, which, fair enough, it kind of is. Then the balance appears. $1.6 million. That's it. 45 centuries, the entire recorded history of civilization, and the grand prize is a number a decent dentist clears in one career. This tells us something uncomfortable. Plain saving, money sitting in a jar, is almost powerless. We gave it the most absurd advantage imaginable, all of human history, and it produced a result you could realistically reach yourself before you turn 50. But now, watch what happens when we change one tiny detail about this story. Part 2, the phone in the sand. We rewind, all the way back to K2, sweating in the desert in 2500 BC. And here's the one tiny detail we're changing. This time, Katu is walking through the dunes, and he finds a smartphone. Just lying there in the sand, fully charged, eternal battery, don't ask. And on it, an investing app. Now at first, Katu has absolutely no idea what he's looking at. The glowing rectangle means nothing to him. An investing app is not a concept that exists in his world. But then he remembers something. Just a few days ago, carved into the latest edition of the local clay tablet, the Daily Hieroglyph, there was a royal announcement. And it went something like this.
Dear citizens of Egypt, I, your Pharaoh, am aware that the S&P 500 will not actually be invented for roughly another 4,000 years. However, for the sake of this YouTube video, I have decided to create my own version, the Pharaoh 500. It works exactly like the real S&P 500. You put money in, and on average, it grows about 7% every year. It will have the very same historical returns. That is all. Long live me.
So there we have it, straight from the Pharaoh himself. The rule is simple. Same family, same boring dollar a day, same 4,500 years. Katu just opens the app and taps invest instead of dropping the coin in the jar. And now, the dollar goes on a journey through the entire family tree all over again. Except this run is a lot more eventful because the family has to keep one ancient smartphone alive across 4,500 years. K2 invests his first few $1,000s over his lifetime and dies genuinely not sure what to make of any of it and hopes his kids figure it out. Nef, in Cleopatra's Egypt, very nearly forgets to invest for 3 whole months because she has become completely obsessed with the phone and is pouring all her energy into an ambitious bid to become the first makeup influencer in human history. There's a real moment where the family tradition is hanging by a thread because of the new Egyptian eyeliner trend. But luckily, she remembers to invest at the last second. Aldrich, in the Middle Ages, has the hardest run of all. The castle gets raided constantly, and at one point, the phone is sitting on a table when a sword comes down and misses the screen by about 2 inches. Aldrich spends years basically treating the phone like a newborn baby, hiding it under floorboards, sleeping on top of it. But the dollar keeps going on. Isabel crosses the Atlantic with Columbus, and even she manages to keep the family tradition alive, despite having almost no connection for the entire ocean voyage. And somehow, across raids, floods, empires, and one very persistent makeup tutorial phase, the family keeps the chain unbroken, all the way to the present day. Part 2, continued. The second ATM. Same Marcus, same ATM, same password. He hits enter. The machine starts loading, and then makes a sound an ATM should never make. A thin curl of smoke rises out of the top, and then the number appears, and it is so long that Marcus genuinely cannot count the zeros. The balance is, roughly, 10 to the power of $135. That's a 1 with about 135 zeros after it. No wonder he lost count. Let's sit with this number for a second, because it's so absurdly big that it not only easily buys you a pile of GTA 6 copies tall enough to reach the moon, but also literally doesn't fit in the universe. Scientists estimate there are around 10 to the power 80 atoms in the entire observable universe. That means that if Marcus tried to store $1 on every atom in existence, he'd run out of atoms and still have 55 zeros worth of dollars left over. Obviously, this is a fantasy, but the gap I just showed you is completely real. The gap between saving money long-term and investing money long-term. And the great news is, you don't need 4,500 years for this to be powerful. Say you set aside $500 a month, roughly what some people spend on takeout and subscriptions without noticing. Now compare 2 versions of you. One just saves it, the other invests it in something simple like an S&P 500 index fund at that same 7% average return. After 30 years, the saver has $180,000, while the investor has about $610,000. But watch the gap grow after this point. After 40 years, the saver has $240,000. The investor has roughly $1.3 million. And after 50 years, the saver has $300,000 sitting in the jar. The investor has around $2.7 million. That gap is literally money growing on itself. That's what we call compound interest, and that's the entire thing the jar family was missing for 4,500 years. Every year you let your money sit still is a year you handed back to the jar. You can't time travel, but you can do the one thing Katu's family never figured out: Start now, stay consistent, and let the years do the work.